Greetings. Baragani to my Baptist brothers and sisters. Shalom Alaikum to my Hebrew brothers and sisters. Islam to my Jewish brothers and sisters. And Sayo to my Christian brothers and sisters. To my Muslim brothers and sisters. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And everyone else, peace be upon you. This is Imam Stop and Obey, and I'm coming to you in discussion. But this is the third, so possibly a little more consistent with these episodes. I'd like to today kind of go over the American Muurish Research Initiative and what we are trying to do. The American Muurish Research Initiative is a nonprofit educational organization here in the state of North Carolina, and the goal of it is not indoctrination. The goal of it is to research information and get information out. The information I put out is the information in Moorish Awakening newsletter. Moorish Awakening is not exactly a brand name. The Moorish Awakening is an event. Moorish Awakening is an event that happened in my life in 2017, where I woke up and find out I was a Moor. It's like someone wakes up from sleep, then they, number one, re-identify themselves, get back their identity, and also they find out where they're at. So what happened 2017 after being in the Pan-African mindset for over 4 decades, I then woke up to the fact of what my own family was telling me in terms of my what you would call Native American, but I would rather call it Aboriginal American heritage, and finding out all of the misinformation that I was taught and that we were taught as a people about us coming from Africa. The only way black people came from Africa. I was aware that Africans did come over before Columbus. I have that in my book, Development of Islam and the African American Community. Also, I have a book in terms of Islam that came prior to the voices of Columbus, all the way back to the wars of Spain. But I am digressing a bit. One of the things that I do, I'm a teacher by nature, and so I teach. I've taught in Islamic school. I've never really taught as a teacher as a profession. I mean, I never got paid for it. I have my own homeschool. As you would know, last video, and generally, the way I teach is basically it's like a buffet. The food is laid out, buffet or on a table, and then you're going to take what you are desiring. You're going to take what is beneficial to you. What are your likes? It's like an array of things that you really research, and you find an array of information. Trying to put that information together and package it in a way that is digestible sometimes becomes quite a challenge. That's what we're trying to do. I did want to go over terms MUUR, which is U-R, M-U-U-R, and the terms MOOR and O-O-R, briefly. I've done 2 videos on that already, parts 1 and 2. definition of the words Muur and Moor, and clearing up misconceptions of such. Probably not the exact title, but you could go on my channel and videos. Also, I explain footbar. That's a Monday Friday prayer service. The difference between what's more and kind of explaining in terms of what they're trying to thing what we're trying to do is to clear up a lot of the misinformation that we have been taught as a people. And we realize what we are really as a people is that we're really aboriginal to this land. I did some research in terms of, and it's kind of the way research works. Sometimes you run across information accidentally. And one information that I ran across accidentally was when I was studying the 14th Amendment, and someone had put out that because, this happened right after Civil War, and that the South was under occupation of the North, and that the 14th Amendment wasn't really ratified by all of the states at the time. When I did research on that, trying to figure out what was going on, and I ran across the Constitution, the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment basically took the citizenship from the states, responsibility of citizenship from the states to the responsibility to the federal government. So someone wanted the first federal would used to be considered a U.S. citizen if they were a citizen of their state. 14th Amendment shifted it to the government. If they were born anywhere in the states, that they would be automatically a U.S. citizen. And people that they said that we become U.S. citizens, they said this. They said, this is the American law website. And what they said was that the 14th Amendment allowed natives, aborigines, and people of African descent to be allowed to become citizens. Prior to that, you had to be a white person, and I had to go into a whole thing. You could look at my Kudbar myth of the white race and see a lot of things that I was saying in terms of that. White is a status. Even people with dark skin were considered white. Depends on pretty much where you came from. Those who came from Europe, most of Europe was dark skinned, and they got a lot of the dark skinned population by sending them to the Americas. There's a whole complicated thing. Pre-mail HUD has a lot of information on it. I'm like a quarterback. I'm going to throw into the hands of whoever has the information. I am not here to give you all of the information, because I don't have all the information, but I'm here to give what I can get. Information that I can. So basically, we are the Aborigines. In my own family, that's found my great grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee, verified. My dad said we were Blackfoot. There's a lot of us that know that we're Blackfoot Cherokee. So it's even the Smithsonian agrees. Smithsonian said that the mixing of the Negro and the Indian so much that the blood of the Southern Negroes unquestionably, without a doubt, Indian. But the word Indian, and I ran across this accidentally, was used for the people of Yemen, and they was talking about the Abyssinians of Yemen, that the Persians referred to them as Indians, so the Romans and Greeks also referred to Yemen as India, and they also called the inhabitants, the Abyssinians, the Ethiopians. That's Ethiopian was called Abyssinia. That means dark-skinned people. Ethiopia is a word that the Greeks used for dark-skinned people, and said they referred to them as Indians. Indians are dark-skinned people. Like Ethiopians, when they came over here, especially Verrazano, in his letter to the King of France. He came over here on behalf of France. He said that the inhabitants here, and here they called it Virginia. I don't think it was called Virginia at that time. I know that the Virginia Company of London had what we now call Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. But basically, this is the area it came in, and he said that the inhabitants here are not unlike the Ethiopians, which means that they look like their complexion looked like the Ethiopians. The complexions was dark. He even found the people further inland that they said they were lighter than the other people, but everybody else was dark. So we are understanding that the word Moor is a dark-skinned person, an aboriginal dark-skinned person. Reject the Africa thing because we all did not come out of Africa. All dark-skinned people we are global people. We are a global people. There are Moors who are Aborigine to Europe. There are Moors that are Aborigine to Asia. There are Moors that are Aborigine to Australia, the South Pacific. They're all still there. I'm talking to you even in Europe, also in America, we're still here. Our nations have been destroyed. Our nations have been transformed. A lot of us, my great-great-grandma lived in a time when they were being detribalized, full bloods were being detribalized. So, I found all this information out just recently. I spent almost 4.5 decades looking toward Africa, and that's not where my ancestry is from. So basically, Moor comes from the first civilization on Earth, Moor. Now, people dispute exactly where it was at. I think the Wassator Moor said, they talk about Pangea. They talk about, people coming from Africa, what we now call Africa during, the Pangea. And Pangea means when all continents. It's a theory that all the continents were all one landmass, and then it broke up, and then became what we see today. They all floated away. The fragments floated away and crashed into each other and things like that. That's not true. That's not true. Land masses rise and fall. First person that I told that to, I said he lived a year in the Philippines. He said, "Yes, that's true. There's coral up in the mountains of the Philippines." There's a man named Jonathan Gray that I used to follow, and he's an archaeologist, and he came up with a lot of information that they don't want to put out. I think he's New Zealand or Australia, but he noted that there were docks up in the mountains of Peru, and there's oceans under the ocean, under the Gulf of Mexico. There forests. There's rivers and lakes underneath the ocean, and there are several pyramids that are off the coast of Cuba, and in between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. You can see Cuba used to be attached to the Yucatan Peninsula. The entire Caribbean basin at one time was above water. That was land. There was a landmass that went between Africa and America, what we now call Africa and South America. That landmass went underwater. And that landmass, the aftermath was that it was impassable. This was called a part of Atlantis. And when it went underwater, the Atlantic Ocean was impassable. It was muddy. Being a Muslim and learning the Quran, and I did this in a couple of my cookbooks. You might want to check out the cookbook I did on Zulkarnain and Gog and Magog. Zulkarnain is the 18th chapter in the Quran, or Surah Al-Kahf. Al-Kahf. And If you want to read the Quran and read about that story, um, I think it starts. I don't want to tell you the wrong ayahs, but it's in that surah, and I believe it starts around the 87 ayat. It's about the 100 ayat, and so this is the story, and it's very interesting. But that's not my talk today. So you can go to those. I did two cookballs on it, so you can go to those and check it out. Right here on this channel, Moorish Awakening, and also I have all of my cookballs on Imam Halim Mustafa El Bay channel as well. So basically, getting back in the moves. So generally, here we're not dealing with anything of Moorish the empires of Morocco, or this is Al Morocco, or anything like that. I have no evidence that was the situation. I said there's a Chief Langley that mentioned that in South Carolina, where she's located, that there was a colony, a Moorish colony that was, I believe, ran by the Moorish Empire, which is the Moroccan Empire. Uh, that's that still need to be researched. To my knowledge, I said there was no holdings of Moroccan Empire here, because we're only dealing with things that could be verified. We're not dealing with things that people just say. I don't follow any type of what you call Moorish doctrine. But I had asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I made a prayer and asked Allah what was our people called, and the answer came back through research. When I researched it, he says it's Moor. You know, the Wasators coined the phrase American Muur, and I agree with that. I agree that here was even a map that who knows, someone put it on the map, but there's a map that North America, they have Moor on North America and Atlantis on South America. And if you read the research and you see the influence of Moor, now the Moor is a word I believe that came later on to describe the landmass that used to take up the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean. There's so much of ancient scriptures. I'm talking about the scriptures that came out of Indian stuff. You know, that's in Tibet and everything like that. Sanskrit scriptures, ancient scriptures. I'm talking way well before there was even anything, you know, referred to as a Bible or a Torah or you know, the Injil or Gospel or even the Quran. But the Quran is a book that, and I have to say, this is a book that verifies everything that came before it. So a lot of the remnants of the stories and things you can find it in the Quran. It's like I talked about Atlantis going under the ocean, and the story of Vulcaning, the Death of Two Horns. And I explained that in my cookbook, so you can go to the cookbooks. But when he went to the west, and he went into the people that were called the Haritans in called West Africa, and saw the sun going into a muddy water. And at the time when I first did the cookbook years ago, and I was like, muddy water? Why did Allah call it a muddy water? And only the law for per male, because he has first-hand information from people who have wrote, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and they said when Atlantis went down, it was impassable, and so the money, you know, I said Atlantic Ocean is impassable. I know I mentioned before it was a muddy water. It's muddy, and that was 2 days after I did the cookbook. So Allah answered that. Everything is from Allah. And I'm not going to be shy to say that everything is from Allah. I say whether you believe it or not, everything that we have is from Allah. So you go into my cookbooks and I talk about fried salted seed. That's unorthodox, fried salted. So basically, the word Moor is descended from the word Mu. Mu is the first civilization on the planet. Mu also means mother. You go to the people, I think they're called the White Brotherhood. It doesn't mean that they're white-skinned. In the video, which I found out about them, and their mouth Chasta, the interviewer was interviewing a park ranger, and the interviewer was saying, okay, you got these, pale-skinned people up there, in the mountains, and the cop ranger corrected him. No, they're dark-skinned people up there. All right. When people channel Moo, I've been getting information from everywhere. A young lady, I don't know about, I believe I read it. And she said when she was channeling Moo and she did her meditation and she, kind of appeared in Moo as a, I think a priestess. She said she was dark skinned. Right. Sometimes you have some people tuning it just escapes me. It may come back. Some books that I read and try to make people of blue, pale skin, things like that. There was one time on the planet that everybody had dark skin. They reflections from the sun. There were also white giants, and they were white skinned, and they exist in some of the that's some of the islands of the Pacific today. They're like 30 feet tall, and our ancestors in terms of blue were like 15 feet tall. As far as what I read. Like I said, it was then later on called Lemuria, and some people think that because of forgot the man's name, but in the 19th century, he was saying that lemurs were they found in Madagascar, found in Sri Lanka, or something like that, and then say, oh, there had been one last man, so let's call them. I said, that's some people criticism try to say, but that's not. That's the thing. But he was basically proving what already has been already stated, that it was called Lemuria by the Romans. The Romans had a festival called Lemuria. Frank Joseph, that's his name that I was trying to say. That even he would say that they still had to admit that people from dark skin. But he had an excellent book. I presented that book in some of my videos as well. Lemuria, the Lost Civilization. And so Lemuria, I break it down, of course, Le, meaning the, Muur, meaning Moor, R, and IA means land. Usually, it means the land of the Moors. I break down a lot of things in terms of land of Moors. America is part of that move. So a field called Amurka. I asked this, but the information came through is that it was instantly called America, and that was the name that the people Columbus first encounter said that was the landmass's name, America, and the first Spanish explorers understood that. So basically, Moor is a global people. It's to contain it to just a group of people and say, well, these are the Moors. Moor is the is the English and the Dutch rendition of the word. Word is in so many different languages. Every single language that we speak on the earth is the word. In Arabic, you have short MU, means a person, means someone who does this, someone who does that, like Muhammad. Muhammad means one who praises much. And my name is Mustafa. Mustafa is one who is chosen. All right. Bookman is one who believes. So basically, Moor is one who. It's a person that does this, a person that does that. Moor is a human being, the first human being, what the Nation of Islam will call the original man. The Nation of Islam, they're offshoot of the Moorish Science Temple. All they did initially was use all of the structure of the Moorish Science Temple, and then they took out the word Moor. That's why Moor and Moor, if you see my first two videos on that, basically they're interchangeable because they're dealing with dark-skinned people. But the etymology of the words, I said, even though the etymology of the words are different, the Moor comes from Moor, first civilization. The first civilization is a global civilization. That's why you see pyramids and temples. Some of them are so old. Some of them have been covered by a thing. You think they're mountains. And in the Grand Canyon, they still have the step pyramids and everything like that in the Grand Canyon, but they're so old that they look like they're part of the natural landscape. And it's not a situation where the Egyptians came and went over there because look, the what's in Egypt is still up and running. What's in Egypt is still, we can see it, But what's in the Grand Canyon? What's in Peru? What's in Mexico and so other places are so old. So everything came from over here and went over there. That's what they say in their tradition. That's what they say in their history. So the word for Moor, the word they got, they call Moro in Greek, and Bore in Latin, and what they call Mauritania. The word comes from the word Mahur, and I put that in my video as well. That's the Phoenician Hebrew. The Phoenician Hebrew, it means a Westerner. Okay? I said, you have to understand that when that Mu meaning mother meaning material means the materialization. When we materialize here on earth, and we took on, our bodies took on the form, was created from the earth. So you look at my skin color and people that look like me, and you look at the earth, we live on a melanated earth, melanated planet. All of the soil that's fertile is dark soil that brings life. We were created from this soil, and then our souls came down from the heavens. Okay, Allah talks about in the Quran, and those of you who don't know the Quran, don't judge, but read it. Anything that's in the Quran talking about that our souls have came down, and at one time the heavens and the earth was joined. Okay, so basically we're beings who are our souls are descended from the heavens, and our body is from the earth. So when we pass, our body goes back to the earth, and our soul goes back to the heavens. The heavens in the Quran is As-Sama. As-Sama means it's not like heaven in Christianity, heaven in hell. It's like As-Sama means the sky. Everything you see, you look up and you see the sky, the clouds, the stars, all the heavenly bodies and everything like that, what we call outer space. That's As-Sama. That's the heavens. What we use for the word, where we go to, if our soul has done things pleasing to Allah, paradise. We call it Jannah, the garden. And of course we have Jahannam, hell. We go to a place we go to, and people of the paradise and the people of hell can converse with them. Just like here, you have people walking around, and some people could be great spirits and have great life, right next to a person that has a horrible spirit and horrible. Okay, so that's again, it's not the on my talk, but I wanted to put this out. When I put out the third episode, I want to be more consistent with this. Coming, inshallah, would be um, a lot more lessons and things like that. Working on it. Please be patient. Um, Again, I want to thank everybody that's tuning in. I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to my channel. Um, please be patient with me. I am trying to get some things out, and I mean, this is wealth of information, and especially with my equipment, it's challenging. But inshallah, which means God willing, gonna get this. When the time comes, it's gonna be so. So therefore, I hope you got something out of this lesson or discussion. And it's a discussion. I mean, leave a comment down uh, in the comment section. Any questions you may have. If you agree with something, disagree with something, uh, then just let me know. Let me know what where you're coming from in terms of your mindset, and we could deal with this in a respectful manner. Okay, so I'm gonna end this tape right here, and I'm going to just greet you with peace be upon you, and I'm going to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.